I'm here with Waffles, just soaking up some sun. But this video is actually not going to be about the pigs. It's going to be about food scraps. We've always given our food scraps to our chickens, and we still do, but now that our chickens are completely free rangers, they don't have an enclosure, so it's been difficult to drop food for them without our dogs eating it. So right now they're not in an enclosure, and if we ever drop food, our dogs will get to it. So I wanted to share just kind of a real simple solution that we came up with, and I hope to share more just like simple things, simple projects that we do around the farm, because I don't know, I think sometimes for us just seeing like really simple new ideas can be really helpful. We've had our chickens in a lot of different situations over the years, but we've found what works out best is having them kind of be free range. We've had a hard time kind of replicating, you know, all of the patterns in nature in a specific enclosure on our property. So it's nice, and it's really minimal work for us letting them be free rangers, and then they can have access to, you know, sandy parts where they can do their dust baths. They can have access to mud and water, and then that means they have access to all sorts of bugs, and so it just seems like for us over the years, having them be free ranging is definitely the best for us, and it seems like the best for them too. We decided to just create a little enclosure with T-posts and field fencing. We had that on hand, so I knew the field fencing would work for the chickens because we used to have our garden wrapped in field fencing, and they were just getting in all the time, so we had to replace that field fencing with no climb fence. The holes are way smaller, so the chickens now can't get in the garden. But the field fencing has pretty large squares for holes in it, so I knew the chickens would be able to then get into the compost, but the dogs wouldn't be able to, so that's kind of why we use that. So what I did was I just kind of gathered all the materials, just the T-posts. I drove them into the ground. I actually wound up using a string to kind of measure the circumference of the enclosure, so that I could just use that string then and stretch it out across the fencing and just know how long to cut the fencing. So just kind of wrapped it with some string, and then I used that string to measure out the length of field fencing and cut that. And then I pretty much just wrapped the field fencing around the T-posts. I did the type of field fencing that we had on hand had a couple of rows at the bottom where the holes were smaller, so I wound up just flipping it so those smaller holes were at the top, because the goal is for the chickens to be able to get through the holes. So I just made sure those smaller holes were at the top, and then I just secured it with some zip ties. We don't need this to be really intense or sturdy necessarily, so I think zip ties will be just fine. And that's pretty much it. And then I just dumped some food in there. Sometimes I get really big bags of food waste and compost from stores, and then we also just use all of our kitchen food scraps. We put that in there. And yeah, the first day the chickens were a little bit hesitant, like they typically are with new things, but now they're going in with ease, and I think it'll work just fine. I will say, I think I'm going to trim the top a little bit. I think the field fencing is 4 feet high. I can't remember, but it's a little bit high, particularly when I get those huge bags from the grocery store. It's a little bit hard for me to like huck that all the way over. So I might trim the fence down. The dogs won't jump it. So I might trim it down a little bit. And the other change I might make is to make maybe just a little bit bigger of a hole for the rooster. The chickens can get in fine, but I've never seen the rooster go in, so I'm wondering if he's just too big or if he's just like a little more cautious about things. So we'll see, but I might add a little bigger of a hole for him to go through. So hopefully this has been helpful. I know it's a really simple concept, simple idea for compost, but what we found is sometimes you just need like simple ideas, and it can be a really quick fix to get you there. But if you've been struggling to find a way for chickens to get in and other critters to stay out, this I think will work really, really well for us, and hopefully it'll work for you too. So far, no dogs have gotten in and the chickens are getting in and getting food, so I call that a success. What do you think?